Man, sometimes it is embarrassing to have to share the same skin tone as some of these rejects. Like, the self-hatred is so deep and so real. It's really just disgusting. I'm gonna get into a few different topics. There's really three different subjects that we're gonna go into. Not really three different subjects, it's all one subject, but we're gonna use three different people or groups just to make the point. We got Jason Whitlock, the Memphis Police Department, and Taharka Bey, also known as the Ugly Turtle. And we're just going to evaluate some things, because understand the reason why we have to continue to go hard in the paint and push the line and hold it down. The reason why we don't have a choice, because our enemies are not going to stop their assault on us. And unfortunately, the first line of defense for white supremacy are those who are cloaked in the same skin tone as we are. Which is, I think that's a unique situation to be in, because to my knowledge, Jewish people don't have to fight their own people constantly, vigorously, presently. The biggest obstacle for Chinese people aren't themselves, especially here in America. Their biggest obstacle isn't themselves. But with us, it's like the first battle we have to fight has to be our own people, or people who look like us. So this is what we're going to get into. Jason Whitlock. Everybody knows what happens in Memphis, and there's a lot of different things going on, a lot of different stories that are floating. I don't know which ones are true. What I do know, if you're looking at the screen right now, there has been rumors or people saying, and I've heard this being said from people who are in Memphis. But to be fair, I've heard both sides. I've heard people say, no, it really wasn't about him messing around with some woman that was dating or is an ex of some sort of a police officer. Some people said that's exactly what it was. Some people said it's not. Some people said, hey, everyone out here knows. So I don't know which one it is. But I can tell you this. What went down did look personal. It looked personal. I mean, but we really don't even have to get caught up too much into why. Because it doesn't really even matter. There was no justified reason for what happened. And we're not going to even give them any kind of pass, even though we know. So these five black officers, and it was really more than that participated in the murder of the young brother Tyree Nichols. There was white folks involved there, but the five people that are on the spotlight are the five brothers, part of the Scorpion Squad, as they called it. And like, when you compare, see, and this is why cooning just doesn't work. This is why when you join that other side to go against your own people, it never works out good for you. Because they're going to use you to attack your own, which is your only salvation. But they don't have your best interest, because if they did, they wouldn't have you attacking your own people. In the case of these agents, if they had your best interest in hand, they wouldn't have you trying to sabotage institutions and organizations that fight on your behalf. So of course they're going to do you in when the time comes. Which is why we have seen an unprecedented amount of media coverage dedicated to destroying the credibility and legitimacy of these officers. When have you ever seen media personalities attacking police the way you see it right now? See, when it's white police killing us, they always find a way to justify the white police and vilify the black victims. In this case, everyone's on board that these police did a disgusting act, which they did. But they're too quick to throw these 5 black men under the bus, which they deserve to be. Don't get it twisted. Like, we're not going to make it to where they're black, so we're going to have some type of, sympathy or understanding for the situation. No, they represent white supremacy. They represent whiteism. They represent anti-us sentiments, anti-black sentiments. And you know this because, not just because this was personal, but because you know that they would have never done that to a white boy, an Asian, Jewish. They would have never pulled over someone else over frivolous dumb shit and then proceeded to beat them to death. They would have not done that because they know very well what they represent. And the agenda has been laid out to what their job is. And their job is not to harass other people. It's to do the exact same thing that the rest of their colleagues do on the daily nationwide. And that is to harass and terrorize black men, particularly, but not exclusively. So they represent that. But anyway, so we know how disgusting that is. We know how, you would not see this happening to other people, even from black officers. They would not dare on some goofy traffic stop pull someone out the car, tase them, beat them down, laugh about it if it was a white dude or an Asian dude or a Jewish dude or even Hispanic dude. But as always, see, one thing that self-hating coons will do, self-hating devils, which those police officers clearly are. Another element of that is they always side with white supremacy. They always use themselves as sound bites to tap dance for their masters. And this is exactly what Jason Whitlock has been doing since as long as I've known that he exists. He always finds a way to blame ourselves, to sabotage ourselves for the acts. And here he goes again.
Everyone's behaving inappropriately, including these 5 Memphis police officers. It's an open and shut case. The camera from above captures the police doing something totally illegal. The second-degree murder charges are warranted. This is going to be a revisitation of the Walter Scott, the guy that got shot on camera by a cop in the back. He got convicted, went to prison. It's an open and shut case. This is too. I don't get what people are protesting about. These are 5.
I mean, if you don't get what people are protesting about, it's clearly because I don't even know if this dude is really cut from the same cloth as us. I don't know if he's really to the core us. He might be an off-brand for all I know. I don't know. I ain't looked into it. But obviously he's not tapped into the sentiments of what the average black man and woman think. Because contrary to some people's belief, we don't protest police violence because the police are white. We protested because it's illegal and it's threatening to our lives. And that's why we're going to keep the same energy for these police officers as we would for any others. So when he says he doesn't know what the protest is about because they're black cops, we shouldn't be protesting. We should just let it slide. That's because you missed the point.
Black officers, the victim is black, the police chief is black, the police have been fired and charged, and they will be convicted, I would assume, by a predominantly black jury in a city that's 65% black. So the system is going to work here. What the other system that's working is the corporate media's insistence on promoting racial division.
That's another tactic of these coons and agents, is they're always hypocrites. Here he is on the biggest corporate media channel in America. That's Fox News. They have more reach, more sponsors, more corporatization than any other network in the country. And he's on there saying that the problem is the corporate media, blah, 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 but he's not speaking about them. He's not going to call them out. That's another thing they never do. See, they never call out their counterparts. They never call out the real problem. They never call out the actual enemies of the situation. Well, he's not going to call out Fox News or Tucker Carlson for the many times that he continuously stokes racial innuendos and white supremacy blatantly. He's going to say the problem is they're covering this story and, you know, black people shouldn't protest because they're black. The officers were black, so we should just sit back and just let it slide, I guess. We shouldn't be upset for seeing acts of lynchings continuing to go on against us, unjustified murder. We shouldn't be worried about that at all. We shouldn't be protesting it. We shouldn't be upset at the power structure who takes our money and weaponizes it against us and terrorizes us in our communities. We shouldn't have no problem with that. This is what these coons do. They never call out those who are blatantly going against us. They're going against us. They're siding with that team. And this is why I say it's dangerous. We'll even talk about the Umar Johnson's reparation thing. Let's revisit that. Or any of our people. This is why you have to be careful with what you publicly say, especially to those who you know don't have our best self-interest, or even just the fact that they're listening. This is why, like, this whole we don't need reparations, we don't need money, cash reparations type of deal. I don't care how deep you're trying to flip it about the inside healing that we need, and we would just give the money right back, and that's not going to stop the self-hate and this and later for that. Don't ever give the enemies a soundbite to use against the agenda that we are trying to put forth. You know, the grassroots right now is bringing up reparations and demanding reparations. Don't go against that. Even if you disagree, if the bulk of our people, respected individuals and organizations, are pushing for something that's tangible that could actually help your family out, don't give the enemies a soundbite that they can use to say, well, look, even so-and-so said he doesn't think that you should get reparated. Don't do that. And that's exactly why these Fox Newses will take a Jason Whitlock, just like they'll take a Candace Owen. They'll always take those who we know don't represent us. They know don't really represent us, but it gives them a soundbite for their audience so that they can paint a narrative. See, in Taharka Bey's case, He just has his own media where he could just do that directly. Don't get me wrong. He would love to get a call from someone of substantial influence in order to spout his bullshit. But he's doing it for his own personal reasons, because we can get into it. We've gone into it before. Because in order to hide his dirty deeds, obviously this is what he has to do. We'll get into that in a minute.
At the behest, in my view, of the military-industrial complex, they want us all looking at this and not looking at what they're doing in Ukraine as they drag America and the world into World War III.
I mean, look, man, this dude wants to put your attention on the Ukraine, Russia, U.S., all these European, they're fighting, they're doing what they do. They're getting money for profiting from war. Okay. But at this particular time, we're speaking about what just happened. If you wanted to talk about all that, we've had months to talk about that. We've had, a year to speak about what's going on in Ukraine. This is something that just now happened. Let's not take the spotlight off the fact that black men are still being lynched in the street for nothing. That's called a distraction. He wants us to look over there when the threat's over here. Because what's going on in Ukraine ain't got shit to do with us, really. It's not changing my life one bit. I don't have to think about that when I'm riding down the street. I don't have to think about that when I step out the crib. I ain't got to think about that when my daughter's out in society. I ain't got to think about that. The Ukraine has nothing to do with my everyday today. I don't know anybody who had to fight in Ukraine, but I do know brothers and sisters that have been murdered in the streets by police. See, everyone else is on code with a particular agenda for social justice, reparations, representation, economics, all these different things. And he's talking about something that's not even on our radar because he's not us. He's going to go on to blame single black mothers for why these police murdered Tyree Nichols. No, they murdered him because they knew, or they thought they can get away with it because they have that badge on. And we've been conditioned to accept that police can get away with murder. So they thought that they can get away with it, but they forgot that even though they're doing the bidding for Massa ain't got no love for them either. So they're going to throw them under the bus and make them the representation for police brutality. Because like I said, this is the first time you have seen the media on code about throwing police officers under the bus.
This is a distraction, in my opinion. CNN hype, there's really only 60 seconds of relevant content. Important story going on in the world, but they don't want you focused on that.
That is such a good point. And you've been in the news business all your life, 35 years or something. I felt guilty putting that video on the screen.
Listen, when you see Fox News giving props to or celebrating or not cutting off or being cordial with what you're saying, then it's only because what you're saying benefits them. And if it benefits them, it benefits racists. So the fact that that's great. I never thought about that. You're so smart. You're so qualified. They never give those kind of kudos to the people who we revere.
Not because I was on anyone's side. I felt obviously bad about it. It was horrible. But because you don't want to put ugly things on TV and inflame passions. You want people to be reasonable and think things through and reach wide.
Okay, that's enough cap. I mean, Fox News itself is cap. We know that. But understand something, you guys. They have no problem throwing the Memphis Police Department that was involved in this murder under the bus. And you know why. But if we're going to keep it a buck, it's not like white people really even generally like the police, especially these white supremacists. They don't like the police any more than we do. The only time they like them is when they're killing us. Then it's back to blue. Blue lives matter. But January 6th, they weren't liking the police. They was trying to kill them. See, they'll back the FBI, the police, all these different agencies, as long as they're going against us, as long as they're the buffer against to be used against us. Because as soon as they do something just that they deem against them, they're ready to disband, ban them all, defund them, like they wanted to do just because the FBI or whoever raided Trump. Killing Martin Luther King wasn't enough for them to be mad at the FBI. Killing X, Fred Hampton, killing our movements, flooding our streets with drugs, none of that was enough for them to say that the FBI is rogue. But as soon as they say, hey, you're not supposed to have nuclear documents, Mr. Former President, all of a sudden it's disband the FBI. Get rid of them. They're corrupt. Kill them. It's cap. I don't want to talk about Fox News, though. Let's go on to the next story. Like I said, regardless if this is true, I mean, we do know, to me, this situation did look very personal. Because there was no escalation by Brother Nichols. He wasn't being disrespectful. He wasn't wanted for some felony crime that he's committed. They never even stated to this day why they pulled him over. It was way too personal. So this could be true, it could not be, but regardless, it was a disgusting act of self-hate. Just like Jason Whitlock wanting to blame this on, let's see the part where he blames it on single black mothers and shit.
Wise decisions. Why would news organizations
want us focused on reality? Hey, if they want us to devote an hour of coverage to this and weekend coverage of this, and they want to take us to a good place, I would examine the racial element of this, because there is a racial element. And this is a story about young black men and their inability to treat each other in a humane way. Everybody involved in this on the street level was either 24 to 32 years old. Everybody. It was a group of young black men, 5-on-1. Looked like gang violence to me. It looked like what young black men do when they're supervised by a single black woman. And that's what they got going on in the Memphis Police Department. They've elected some.
So notice something. Notice that when you start going in cooning against your own people on these major networks, they will never cut you off. They're going to let you continue to speak because they want that soundbite. They want a nice, clean soundbite that they can chop up and continue to use and let other people continue to use it. So he's not going to stop him up and say, hey, that's blasphemous. You can't blame black women. You can't say that. It's just black people just always do. No, they're not going to cut you off or do none of that. See, the interesting thing is he says this now. But was the Rodney King beating a gang? Was the Freddie Gray killing a gang beaten? Was it a thug in a badge, a thug in a uniform that killed Tamir Rice? Sandra Bland, the police that caught Charlene Lyles up in Seattle when she was pregnant in front of her babies, was that a gang hit? Have you ever heard these type of terms being used towards police before? But they're gonna let this coon, this self-hating coon, come to the biggest news station in America to be a soundbite for white supremacists to millions of people. And he's all too happy to do so. Now we'll get to the next. Now we'll get to this clown, Clown Bey. Somebody sent me a link and told me to go to like 2 hours 25, 2 hours 16. We'll do it there. And this, man, like, you have to be pretty filled with self-hate when you start. I'm just gonna play this.
That it's a story. 1 second. Where it go at? Okay, here it is. Yeah, it seems very odd. So here's the story right here. It comes out the Ark Republic, and this story right here, it talks about black ranchers. They're being assaulted, and I think Tariq Nasheed covered it. I think, if I'm not mistaken, maybe Jason Black, I think, but the whole crew.
So understand that, like, you know, when this dude is going against Taharka Bey, or is going against Tariq Nasheed, when Taharka Bey is going against Tariq Nasheed, yes, it's personal because he doesn't like Tariq Nasheed. He's probably jealous. But at the same time, he's really going against the new black media and FBA. He's going against our people in general. That's why I just brought up the Jason Black. So when when you FBA brothers go to his channel thinking that you're going to defend FBA, stop it. There's nothing to gain from that at this point. Expose this cat and keep it pushing. You're going to go on there where he's going to sabotage you with the platform that he controls, and his only objective is to make you look stupid and to try to get FBA listeners, people who represent the FBA movement. He's going to bombard you with silly, stupid shit. He doesn't really want a conversation. He doesn't really want a dialogue. What he wants to do is get off his talking points and to ask you questions in a way to make you look silly. This dude is not about building anything in the community. He's not about backing anything in the community. He's only trying to shut down anything that we have going, any momentum. He wants to kill it. He wants to dissipate it. He wants to discredit. He wants to disrupt. He wants to do all of those things that was said in counterintelligence program files, including now he's even going to start, he's going to attack or undermine black farmers. That means he don't even want you to eat. He found a way to undermine black farmers, which is interesting because I call this dude an agent for a reason. Who else was attacking the ability for black people to eat? J. Edgar Hoover in the 60s targeted the Black Panthers mostly based on the free food program that they had, the free breakfast program. He said it himself that he thought that was a domestic threat. So he didn't want niggas to have the ability to feed each other, and either does Taharka Bey. That's just getting to the root of trying to exterminate a people. Like who can really be mad at black farmers trying to farm food so that we can be self-sufficient and at least feeding ourselves?
Is covering it. And so me, myself, Moochie, we've been looking into it, and we can't find anything that completely substantiated. Not saying that it ain't happened, but it's a lot of misinformation that we did discover. And then there is a GoFundMe that the last time we checked, it's up to almost $10,000. But the story is hard to confirm.
I mean, this dude, this is a tactic that they have been using for decades now. Discredit any efforts of black nationalism. meaning creating the ability to feed, clothe, shelter, govern, economically support ourselves, like most communities can do. They disrupt those efforts so that we're dependent upon others for vital needs, for vital sustaining of our existence. Like, what black man in his right mind would try to find a way to demonize black farmers? He actually has the nerves to question legitimacy of a GoFundMe when this dude has put so many GoFundMes out that he has never materialized what he said he's raising the money for. And spoiler alert, I'm gonna give y'all a spoiler alert for all the trolls that come to my channel, for all those who really think that this dude is really about something and that he's legitimate, and they want to call people like Tariq Nasheed scammers, or these black farmers scammers, or any other black person that's doing things. Even though, just keep in mind, all these people that you see do that, they all have donations that they accept and ask for on their platforms. So everyone else is a scammer if they're getting donations, if they're raising money, if they're doing actual tangible things. They're scammers, but they're not scammers or grifters, even though they accept donations and beg for donations all the damn time. Make that make sense. And the spoiler alert is this. How long has Taharka Bey been saying he's going to sue Tariq Nasheed? Going on like 5-6 months now? How long does it take to really file a defamation suit? He's raising money to do this. You're saying that he hasn't raised enough money yet to file a damn suit. But he's not going to file a suit. He is not going to pursue litigation against Tariq Nasheed or no one else, especially for the grounds that he said he would, which is defamation for the documented sex offender stuff. I mean, he's not going to pursue it because he can't. Plain and simple. He's not going to pursue it because to pursue it under the terms that he says that he's going to pursue it under, he would have to allow or bring forth or accept the fact that the documentation used to label him a sex offender, that would have to come to court. And he's not going to be able to tell a judge in a court the same bullshit that he's told his listeners, that, oh, it just means that that registry was checked, not that he's really on it. Nope. He's not going to be able to do that. He can argue that he's not on it now, but he can't argue that he was never on it when that paper shows up, because the courts know exactly what that paper means. The lawyers know exactly what that paper means. He would have to publicly address that in a court of law where he can't cap, or where his cap will be called out by judges and lawyers. So there's no way he's going to pursue that. He would have pursued it by now. So he can't take that to court. Not only that, he doesn't even have a case. Because remember, to be on that registry at any point in time only means one thing. It doesn't mean that you were accused. Doesn't mean that it was alleged. It means that you were convicted. You can't get on that registry until you're convicted and register. So that means he was convicted and he registered. He may have stopped registering at some point, but at some point he did register. That's why it was on that document from 2016. So just to be clear again, because I know, people like to mix things up. No, the document that I showed and that Tariq Nasheed showed isn't the case that put him on there. It's a totally different case. It just so happens on that paperwork of the case that he caught in 2016, at the time he was a registered sex offender. Not for that particular case, but he just was at that time registered as a sex offender, 2016, not too long ago. It's not like, oh, he just made a mistake when he was a teenager or something. No. You're a grown ass man of 40 plus. So he's not taking that to court. He's going to make excuse why he doesn't take it to court. Mark my words. that will never see a courtroom by his doing. That's a fact. He's going to raise money saying, no, I need this money to file the suit, but he's not going to do that. He hasn't even, he hasn't even made the first step, has he? I seen on Twitter, people were asking him, and he was saying, why would I tell you? Nigga, because you said publicly that that's what you're going to do. Like, you went publicly saying you're raising money to do that, but now when people are asking him about it, all of a sudden it's none of your business. I would never tell you the moves. I would never publicly say my moves. But he publicly said he was going to do it. He publicly said he was going to document the process, and he publicly asked for money for this. But he's telling everybody else they're the scammers. These black farmers are the scammers. They're the ones that you need to worry about. And let me tell you something. 10 racks ain't shit for a farm. Let's just keep it a buck. 10 racks ain't shit. These farmers need hundreds of thousands. They need millions, billions really, in order to really efficiently be able to operate at a capacity to farm enough food for our people. But he wants to discredit those efforts. He wants to disrupt those efforts. He's upset that niggas is trying to farm food. He has to eat food. See, that's how backwards. That's what I'm saying. Like, when these cats come out doing this self-sabotaging shit, that's exactly what it is. Because at the end of the day, the things that they're going against are things that would benefit them. And the people they're doing it for are people who don't have their best interests in mind. You got to remember that. When they use our own people against us, the people that they're using, typically there's something. They're either gaining something monetarily that they're only looking for self, or they're trying to stay out of a situation that's hanging over their head. Mark Clark. No, it wasn't Mark Clark. Let me stop. Mark Clark was a solid dude. What was the dude's name, man? I forgot. But the one that Judas and the Black Messiah. The one that set up Fred Hampton. This was a brother growing up in the 60s with all kinds of racism right in his face, blatantly and violently. But he infiltrated one of the only organizations at the time that was fighting against that. He went against his own best self-interest to be an advocate to those who want to destroy him. Think about it. If the government wanted to destroy the Black Panthers, they only wanted to destroy them because they were helping their people fight against the racism, the systematic oppression. So because they wanted to destroy us, they had to destroy the Panthers. So when you start working for your enemies, you're helping them destroy yourself. Because the only reason that they want to destroy what they're trying to destroy is because it might help you. So this dude is going to go against black farmers when really he should be encouraging this. And that's another thing you have to understand about his channel, about his being. Like, he's not even going to speak against these black. Like, think about all the people that he exposes for being bad for our community. His words. Well, aren't these 5 Memphis police? Memphis ain't too far from where you're at. Aren't they bad for the community? How come you're not exposing them? You got no smoke for these cats? You have smoke for every other black organization. Organizations that actually help the community. You don't have any smoke. You never have any smoke for police. Out of all the black people that you only, quote unquote, expose, you're not going to expose these police officers though? It's not a problem to you? It's not something that need to be exposed and highlighted and looked into and researched? None of that? None of those efforts for that? Okay. But black farmers.
You follow what I'm saying? It's hard to confirm. Not saying that now in the Ark Republic, you can find the story all day long. But I went to the local news. I went to quite a few. And I'm not saying that it's not true, but it just appears to me that Tariq Nasheed is reporting on a story that once I research it, I can't confirm it. That seems very odd. And people are getting money off of this, whoever created this GoFundMe.
See, the jealousy is never far behind their motives. He's mad that people are getting money, basically. That's not even any money for a farmer, first of all. He's mad people are getting money to a GoFundMe. Like, he's not putting money to it. So it's not hurting his pockets. But he's mad that people are getting money. But when people give him money, it's not a problem. When he's grifting and selling dreams and lying about things like the Morris Village and the research van and all these different things that he's never put into production, even though he has accepted money for all of these things, including this lawsuit that he's not going to pursue, that he's collecting donations for right now, that's okay. Like I said, it's always going to be hypocrisy. It's always going to be projection. It's always going to be attacking things that are fundamental to our existence, but never attacking things that threaten our existence.
It says Geneva B. Who knows who that is? And so we're going to be covering and we're going to report in these stories, stories that are questionable. We're going to have that on the part of the show that's called The Dark Side. So we're gonna talk about the bright side of things, but we're also going to be talking about the dark side of things. And this would be one of the stories that fall in line with the dark side segment. It's going to be an hour show, but when we do the dark side segment, we're gonna make it dark up in here. You know what I mean? Bam. We're gonna make it dark, and then we're gonna do the dark side segment. You know what I mean? That's what we're gonna do, and we're gonna.
So his whole expanding his brand of commentary is only to be able to have the capacity to attack more of us in depth. Like that's a weird, suspicious, to say the least, program, don't you think? Like everything in his channel is about, like, if a white supremacist wanted to make a channel to attack us, it would look like his channel. Attacking everything, from those who defend us, from those who feed us, from those who educate us, from those who politically orient us towards goals that we collectively benefit from. He attacks all of those things. He does not attack police. He does not attack racism against us in any form. He only attacks us. Like, who does that actually benefit? Who's the benefactor of that? Who historically has been about that? That's the side. That's his legacy. That's the side that he's going to go down with. That's the hill he's going to die on. That's what people are going to remember about him. No productive information or anything that actually betters or benefits us. For all the things that he doesn't like, he has no alternative to it. He has no work saying, hey, I don't think that the FBI is going to get the reparations like that because you have to do it like this and that. So here's how I'm going to organize for this. See, he has nothing to add on. He just wants to tear down. He's doing the work of our enemies for them, even though it ultimately works against him. You would have to be filled with such deep hatred, coonery to do that, or you'd have to be doing it by force because there's something that you don't want to get out. That's what it is. There's something that they're hanging over his head so bad that probably would have him in jail for a long time. Maybe it's related to the sex offense stuff. Because what else would motivate someone? Like, it's not even healthy. It's not, and anyone who supports that, there's really no need to even question or try to understand them either. One thing we really need to do is be happy that they're making themselves known publicly so we can see the ratio, or at least estimate the ratio, or just know that they exist, that they truly exist. People truly exist out there that you may be in contact every day that will dismiss a rapo scammer to try to undermine those who are actually doing things for their own benefit. Those are the type of people we need to know about. Those are the type of people that will sabotage anything we try to do. Those are the kind of people that we have to keep away from us. Those are the kind of people that unfortunately have to be the first ones that we take out. And I'm speaking, I'm not saying literally necessarily. I'm saying when it comes down to it, the war and warfare takes many forms. The first targets have to be those type, because they're the ones that can infiltrate and try to tear us down from within. Those are the ones that could be used against us, because they'll take these sound bites from these coon ass Negroes and use it against us and put that narrative out there to misrepresent us. That's it. Like, share, subscribe if you will. All that good stuff. I'm out. Peace.